Jennerstown Speedway on August 7th for the 4th annual Motor Mountain Masters. The intimate setting of the Laurel Highlands Speed Palace hosts drivers from across the country for this crown jewel signature event, and you can be part of it on Saturday, August 7th. Be part of the glory, part of the drama. See who stakes their claim on top of Motor Mountain for all the country to see. Get your tickets now at jennerstown.org.
Welcome into Tim's Corner Live, episode number 26. Tim Terry, Dylan Langell, Denver Match along for the ride with you. Another Wednesday evening, boys. How did you enjoy your off week?
Off week?
Off week. Last week we didn't do a show last week.
Oh yeah. It was good. I did laundry or something.
Yeah. It was busy. It's been busy here today. Getting ready for the Petty 5K coming up on Saturday. Denver, we're getting ready for another live show at Speedway Miramichi with the Atlantic Modifieds, the Crash for Cash Mini Stock 50. Lake Dowsett's running on Sunday. We got a Friday night show with Scotia. Denver, it's a busy weekend.
It sure is going to be a busy weekend, Tim. Lots to be excited for and lots of exciting racing. We're coming off a weekend that was just phenomenal across several different tracks, and we're going right into another one. It's safe to say, after all the delays and stuff, racing season is in full swing. The province of New Brunswick, that since our last show has gone green, so there is no more restrictions at racetracks, which is great to see. And hopefully everyone else can follow suit. And with that green, I think the biggest news of the week, the Friday night concerts back at the Speed Weekend. Doesn't get any more exciting than that.
That caught you off guard, didn't it?
I honestly didn't expect it, and I am so thrilled because that is the best night of the year.
I'm pretty sure Sherry Tucker had a hand in that, and we're just going to go with that. But if you just missed the announcement, came out about an hour ago, Hazard is playing on Speed Weekend on Friday night. So that show is going to start at 7:30. It's going to roll with the Atlantic Modified Tour. Going to have the Fredericton Gun Shop Sharpshooters for both 35-lap features, by the way. And then they are going to pull the stage up to turn 2, and they are going to play a show in the beer garden, essentially, for everybody that's there. You must be 19 plus. It's a licensed area, but it's going to be a good time. That's Friday of Speed Weekend. That just came out at speedway660.com, so you can go over and check that out. 31 entries for the 5K for sportsmen. I think there's 20 for the street stock. Going to be a great show Saturday. But before we get into that, Denver, you mentioned 660. You were at 660 both days last week. How was that?
It was actually awesome. I think this is about the first time that I can remember that Speedway 660 ran on the New Brunswick Day long weekend. Historically, that was an off weekend in what would be typically a busy point season, but with tracks working together, the way the schedules aligned, they did a double header, and it was some phenomenal racing, 2 great days of Atlantic Modified Tour racing, a great sportsman race on Saturday night that saw Alex Oblinas go to victory lane, and she got challenged several times. And then on Sunday, it was Corey Hall in the Pro Stock 125, taking that 83 to victory lane. Kind of a bit of redemption, I would say, after what I heard went on down at Petty on Saturday. He got into a little, incident from the lead. So nice to see redemption for him, but some great racing. It was really like a mini speed weekend, I found. The campground was starting to fill up. You had the sportsman race Saturday, the Pro Stock race Sunday. It really just gave you that taste of what's to come here at the start of September.
And the green laws were back, which was great to see as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was a great. We'll talk about that Petty race in just a moment with our first guest. But Dylan, before we go into that first guest, you were at Oyster Bed. We were at 3 different racetracks on Saturday night. So how was Oyster Bed with the Heart of a Champion Hot Rod Classics?
We are all over the place. It was a great time. It was my first time at Oyster Bed. I think it was the first time I've ever been at a race that had 2 rain delays. We had the Heart of a Champion Hot Rod Classics go on track, and it started misting, and then it got heavier and heavier, so we had to wait for a few minutes, got going again with the mini stocks, and then it started raining a little bit again, but we got the whole show in. We had 7 cars with the Heart of a Champion Hot Rod Classics. Jeff Ainsley and the Hound, the Junior Hanley tribute car, held off 6 fierce competitors to get his first Heart of a Champion win. And then Darren McKinnon went and won the Pro Stock race later that night, and great crowd, pretty much near sold out. Beautiful weekend on the island. Misty guys though, but a lot of folks are saying, "Where's Tim? Where's Denver? Where's the whole crew?" And I had to be like, "Well, they're on the mainland. They're doing stuff at the other tracks." But hey, like Denver, you said, all the tracks running. That's a good problem to have right now after the first part of 2021 we had here, right?
Absolutely. We had nothing for a little bit there. So and great racing all around, and there's more to come this Saturday night and in all weekend long.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend. And For those that are just joining us, we are live and interactive. Got Mike Weagle coming up a little bit later on. Chris Wilson's going to join us at the end of the show, Atlantic Modified Tour. We're going to talk a little modifieds and get ready for that show on Saturday. But before we do, there's another big show on Saturday that you're going to be able to watch syndicated through Tim's Corner TV and through Pit Road TV. You saw it at the top of the show, Motor Mountain Masters from Jennerstown. And we are going to bring in our first guest who's going to know a thing or two about this race coming up because he's going to be in it. It's our winner from last week at Petty International Raceway and the driver of the number 53 car. We're going to welcome in Cole Butcher to the show. Now, we talked about technology earlier. Cole's not the most technology savvy, but I think we figured this out. Zoom had an update this week. So I will blame it on that. Cole, you got us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome to the show. First of all, congratulations on the win on Saturday. For those that weren't there, showing a couple of highlights on the screen. How big was it to take that second win of the season, especially in the Irving Oil 150? Because I know Irving is special to you guys.
It was pretty good. Irving's been with me since day one, so it was good to represent them. I know they all couldn't make it due to the COVID pandemic and everything and their company policy, but it was still good to get the win under our belt for the second time of the year.
Now that race, as Denver kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, kind of played out a little bit differently because you rode around in second, kind of battling with Ashton Tucker for most of that race. Corey Hall had the field yard it, and then all of a sudden he has that little set two with a lap car, and you end up in the lead. What were your thoughts when you saw that caution light come out?
I was happy, I guess you can say. Corey pretty well had the car to beat. I'm not going to lie. He pretty well had the race won. He got tangled up with him and his old buddy. I don't know. I'll take it. I know he's going to be hard to beat all year, and I know he dominated Sunday at the 250. So he's going to be the one we're chasing pretty well for the rest of the year.
We are live and interactive here this evening with Cole Butcher, driver, the number 53. If you're watching us on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour page or on Tim's Corner Motorsports, be sure to drop us a comment. Dylan's going to be busy, I have a feeling, on social media here this evening. We chatted about you kind of searching at that racetrack on that second groove. For those that don't know, that haven't gone back to watch the replay on Tim's Corner TV, what did you find on that second groove throughout that night?
I don't know. I found I was loose on entry in the one on the bottom, so I just moved around, and when I got around lap cars, it wasn't too bad. Then Ashton started to catch me on the bottom, and I was still around the top, and once in a while I would just catch some more grip, so I just stayed out there and managed my tires. And the last little bit, Ashton was catching me, so I took his lane away, and we managed to pull away. But just seemed to be our car could run pretty well anywhere. I mean, it was nothing compared to the 83, but it seemed to be decent wherever I put it.
9 races scheduled on the series, so just like that, we're already a third of the way through this season. You won Scotia. Let's talk about that first race of the season. Not necessarily the car count that everybody wanted, but it was still a really good race with the first 5 cars up in front. Talk about having to navigate that and having to conserve your stuff with that short field.
We had Nicholas, Jarrett, and Craig Sloan and Donald Chisholm. They were all racing very hard. I was surprised with only 8 cars there. And you hear actually everybody commented on how great the show was, and I would agree. I kind of just rode around and made a pit stop, a little Packer adjustment, and then kind of made my way through the field, and we were able to take the victory. But 8 cars put on one hell of a show.
And then we roll up the road to Riverside International Speedway and a bigger field, and it's Riverside, always puts on a show. Another podium finish there. What were your takeaways from Riverside?
I was happy just to finish. It's not my top racetrack. The King cars are always strong there, and there's 10 of them now. So a couple cars left the race, so it kind of went to our advantage. So I was just happy to come out of there in one piece.
Once again, we are live and interactive. And Dylan, do I see Mike James over there already tonight?
Yeah, he's already creeping in saying the 3 amigos. Well done, boys. Wonder if has Mike made it to East Coast International Pro Stock race anytime lately?
I don't think he's been to a tour race recently. We had Patty Squires and the boys over in 2019 when Phil Fowler was racing, but I don't think Mike's been over yet. But he's been busy. Congratulations, by the way, to Wayne Walsh and Sarah Thorne on their wins at Eastbound the last weekend. You can go check out their results at Eastbound Park. But yeah, I don't think he's been over there, Dylan. We might have to get Mike to come back over.
We'll get him a ferry chit or something to come over here. Before we go into some Facebook questions, and feel free, Cole's here for a little bit. I mean, geez, he's already had a busy 2021 and end of 2020. But Cole, I got to ask you, what were your thoughts and what your immediate thoughts, I guess, when the contact was made between Corey Hall and Nicholas Noggle, which brought out that late race caution. Did you think, oh, it's Christmas in July basically right now?
Yeah, well, we lost one in the first race of the year, Petty. A lap car just made a little mistake and took us out. We should have probably won that race. So I was texting Corey. Corey said the race car gods must have redeemed themselves from the following race. So I kind of laughed at that one. But the first thing I said was, "Are we taking the top or bottom?" to my spotter, because I knew he was going to the back. So we took the top and we took it from there.
I guess I'll kind of dig up some bones about that River Glade race since I was there. Through your view, what exactly happened between you and the 51 car, and what happened to the car that you had to bring to the pits before the restart?
I don't really know, honestly. I was going to the corner, like he was on the inside of us. I was just going to the corner like what I usually do, and next thing I know, I'm getting left reared. I don't think it was intentional. Mike gave me a call, and it is what it is. He seemed sincere and everything. So I flattened the left rear tire, and at that point, there was 15 laps to go, so I wasn't going to do anything. So I said to the guys, "Let's not wreck the car and just park it." Now, having said that, I think there's like 5 cars on the lead laps. We probably could have got a top 5, but it is what it is.
Tim, Jesse Thompson wrote that he said, "It sounds like I missed the great East Coast International Pro Stock race." He was filling in for Wade at 660 that night. You guys were doing trading spaces almost.
Yeah, he was up there with Richard Martin and filling in there, and I got to do a little bit of the Bandolero and mini stock action. So thank you to Jesse Thompson for that, and Wayne and Ellen for allowing me to hop in and take care of that stuff. But I know that was a busy week. You can check out everything on timscorner.tv that happened on Saturday and Sunday in Gary. But looking forward, before we talk about this upcoming weekend, Cole, because I know you have a busy weekend coming up, I want to ask you about what is currently scheduled as 2 150-lap features coming up at Scotia Speed World on what would usually be the 250 weekend. There's been some mixed thoughts about 2 races in one weekend and what have you. What's your thought going in?
I think it's great. I wish we were going to Scotia one day and PEI the next day. Like, I'm a racer and I just want to go racing, so I'm looking forward to it. I think there's no reason why they can't do it. They just did it in Pensacola a couple weeks ago, and they did it I think a month ago. They went to Pensacola and went to Montgomery, so I don't see it being a problem. If you're a true racer, you're going to do it. If not, then I guess you just got to stay home.
So for preparation wise, obviously you guys prep usually for 150 lap feature, or maybe a 200 or a 250, at least on this side of the border. How do you go in and prep for 2 150 lap features at your home racetrack?
Kirk's already printing this out of decals for the second night, so put it that way. Now, you just take it as it is. It's the first race. You got to get through it, come back to the shop, do your maintenance, and go do it again Sunday. I think it would have been cool if we did a Friday and Saturday deal. That's just my opinion, but we'll just take it one day at a time and hopefully keep the fenders on it.
The Atlantic Modified Tour just had a doubleheader at 660, and it was 2 points races on that weekend, and Travis Conroy came out with a huge point advantage. Do you think championship points going into a weekend like this?
A little bit, because I'm fairly decent at Scotia. I'm not really sure who's going right now, but I think we've won a lot of those Scotia races we've been in the last couple of years. So we're definitely looking forward to that. The 54 is going to be strong. This is probably his time to shine here soon. So we'll be looking for him, and definitely Craig Sloanway. I've been saying to him every week, it's pretty well your time to win. So he's going to do it here one of these days.
He stepped down the podium the wrong way though this weekend.
I know. Rookies.
It's something like that. Brand new race car. Got to cut him some slack, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Motor Mountain Masters. Getting back to racing with Donnie Wilson this weekend. How excited are you to head to Jennerstown?
We're pretty excited. Me and Olivia are going to leave tomorrow. We practiced Friday. We race Saturday. I was supposed to do the doubleheader at Pensacola a couple weeks ago, but my car wasn't ready. So Donnie texted me and said, "You want to come run this race?" So the restrictions lifted slightly that I don't have to quarantine when I get home, so we're looking forward to it. It's a pro late model race, and I haven't really done much of them other than the snowflake down there, so looking forward to it. It's a pretty good car count, and track looks fun and fast.
I was gonna say, have you done any research? I know the car store was there a couple of weeks ago. Have you done any sort of research on this racetrack to try to figure out what you're in for on Saturday?
A little bit. Derek Griffith had a couple in-car videos, and I know Sammy won the last Cars Tour race, so we have a pretty good notebook going there in a super late model. Now I don't know, it'll transition to the pro late model, but should be fairly close.
So now that the border restrictions are lifted a little bit, what are your plans going forward the rest of this season? Where do we see you racing down south? Are you racing the full remaining schedule on the ECI Pro Stock Tour? What's the plan?
Right now the plan is to do the 250, so we'll be missing Patty, but there will be somebody in the 54 car, 53 car that'll be announced later on. We'll do the All American 400, the Derby, and we might squeeze a couple more super late model races in, but we're definitely going for the championship again this year.
What would it mean to put your name on that trophy for a third time?
It would be great. We've done it twice so far, and I know this year is a little bit different, but realistically, we're racing 3 times less, but we're racing every weekend. So you still need to be the right mindset, have the same preparation you would normally do, and put the names with Sean Turple and a couple other guys would be great.
We had Dylan Blankhorn on the show here a couple of months ago, and we were asking him with his extensive resume, what's left in Atlantic Canada. So I'll ask you, because you've pretty much won everything there is to win in Atlantic Canada. So what's the biggest things on that list that you need to check off as a driver?
The Mike Stevens Memorial, the International Weekend, the IWK 250 in Fredericton, pretty well.
So those are on the list for this year to try to win?
Yeah, that's the plan.
There you go. Now, I know you've been doing some legend racing as well. Before we go back to social media, the first legend race you did this year didn't exactly go the way you wanted it to, but let's step back with the legend car program. How's it sliding into that 51 car?
It was good. I love legend car racing. I feel like they're a lot harder to drive, so they keep your mental game strong and your physical game strong. So once again, we had a little misshape with the running for the lead, but it was fun, and we were just looked at for fun. So we put a show on for the fans, and it's good to see the up and coming talent. Like Colton Noble, he was running into me because I was in his way at one point. But so you got those guys to look forward to coming through the ranks in the near future.
You've done a lot of this NX racing. Who's your tires now in there? The FC09 came in a couple of years ago. What do you think of the progression of this U.S. Legend Car program?
Well, it's definitely progressing because nobody's giving up. Between the Hoosiers, the episode 09, everything's going up. They're keeping up with the technology, and same with the Bandoleros. There's probably gonna be front suspension out here one of these days for those, if not sooner. So it's just good to see the kids and their parents and everybody are still going at it, and there's a place for kids to go to race.
So with all these kids moving up, you mentioned Colton Noble's name. You've done a little bit of racing in that legend division. You've seen some of the Bandolero racing. Who's the next Cole Butcher? Who's the next driver we have to watch coming up through the ranks?
Gage Gilby was pretty good in the Bandolero days. I know he's jumped into a legend car and he's fairly young right now, but he's been one to watch. You look at Colton, Sam Rogers. There's a handful of guys like Dan McKay's young fella. Depends on how they progress, but I think there's a handful of guys that are going to be the next Cole Butcher, Dylan Blankhorn.
There's definitely a few that are coming up the ranks. Once again, we're live and interactive. We'll go to Dylan one more time on social because I see there's a few that are starting to pop in. Do not be shy. Dylan won't bite. Throw in a question or two. Dylan, what you got?
We still can't bite Tim, man. We're still in the midst of this whole thing. But we'll stay 6 feet apart here. And Brent Patterson always watches us, and we appreciate it. Cole, he's wondering, what's your worst wreck in your racing career so far? And I'll be honest, I've only seen you wreck one time, and it was last year, the Mike Stevens weekend.
Sure, I think first year I raced, me and Dylan Blankhorn replaced the nose every weekend, so that wasn't fun. Other than that, we've been fortunate. The Mike Stevens weekend, wasn't the worst wreck because the car didn't bend or anything. So I don't know. My rookie year, we tore up a lot of stuff.
Brent's also wondering, what is it like racing with Ryan Messer? We were just talking about some young guns in racing. Ryan's been doing the pro stock thing for a few years, but he's getting some pretty big wins under his belt in New Brunswick, right?
Yeah, I have his family on Facebook, and they're working their butts off. I think I like racing him more than he likes racing me. Let's go back to our history last year. I made a couple of mistakes and may have put him in the outside wall, so we'll leave that there.
That's all we got for now, Tim, on social media. I think everyone maybe just be finishing up dinner here, and we'll get some more questions in.
Absolutely. And I know there's some problems in Nova Scotia with Eastlink. Thankful for our backup stuff that we have at the racetrack, actually in the office this week. So drop us a comment, leave us a like, and maybe hit that share button and let your friends know you're watching some bench racing here this evening on Tim's Corner Live and Tim's Corner Motorsports on Facebook. Denver, I know you're over there chomping at the bit. What do you got for Cole Butcher?
Well, I kind of want to flash back to the 2020 season. It was kind of a different season. Only 2 races on the Pro Stock Tour, some open shows. Looking back at 2020, what do you remember most from the 2020 season?
We did a lot of testing, so the results weren't really there. When they needed to be there, like the last couple of races, the Scotia race we won, we were running really good at Riverside. The Mike Stevens Memorial race, we had a good car there. So last year we learned a lot what to do, what not to do. We were applying it this year, and so was everyone else that I can see.
That win at Scotia in the Jim Hollihan 250, and you've won the 250 at Scotia as the Cat 250, but to win the Jim Hollihan 250, what did that win mean for you?
It meant the world to us. Jim's been there since day one. We missed the guy. He would do anything for a racer, rather if you're having a bad night or a good night. He'd always put his arm around you, and he'd always put a smile on your face by the time he left. So, we're going to miss him. Jim and Liz were great. I know Liz is still around, so hopefully we keep that race going in the near future.
2 championships on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, 2016, 2018. Is there one that is more memorable than the other for any reason?
2018, because 2016, some people got caught with some parts that they shouldn't have had on their car. So I feel like I deserved it a little bit more in 2018. Now 2017, we almost won one there. So I don't know. That was the worst one to lose. 2017 when Sean Turple got us by 1 point.
Definitely, that was Tim. That probably the closest points battle ever, I dare say.
One of them that probably shouldn't have been as close as it was, because Cole, correct me if I'm wrong. That was the one where was it the front straightaway with Sean, and then the back straightaway with Cy and Donald bringing those 2 extra points in. Yeah. So maybe a little bit closer than it was, but still a nail biter nonetheless. And it seems like it always comes down to it on the tour. Let's I kind of want to bounce around a little bit. We're talking about racing with different folks. Last year, one of those cars that got banged up at the Mike Stevens Memorial, your father had mentioned going to build a vintage car out of it. Now I think it ended up being a vintage car at the end of the day, but not in your shop. What are the thoughts? Can we see Darren ever back in a race car at some point?
I don't know. He's pretty, I don't know. He work and racing, that's all we do, but I don't know if we have much time to put a vintage car together right now. I'd love to see him in a sportsman car or a vintage car or something. When we go test, Jarrett's seat has a mold, so I can take it out for, the fluffier people, as we would say. So I always bring Dad's suit with him, but he never gets in. So one day we're going to get him in something.
Because the last time he was in a car was a Legends race back here, 5, 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah, the Legends race, and I pushed him around the racetrack, I think.
Didn't you wave at him when you were laughing him?
Yeah, I ran into him too.
Nonetheless, he still got out there on the racetrack. So that obviously had to be a great memory looking back on your racing career. Maybe not necessarily wins or what have you. What can you take great memories from your racing career?
Just so many. Between our first Pro Stock win, that was pretty big for the whole team. Lots of emotions going on there, to our first championship, to the Cat 250. It's pretty amazing looking back to what we started with. Just going through pictures of why did I ever do that to my race car? Why did it look like that? Going to what you do now, it's amazing the time. If I could get all that time back, it's just amazing the things you could do.
Now, I know we're kind of bouncing around here a little bit, but I know we have a lot of 4-cylinder guys that watch the show, and they're planning on going to Atlantic Motorsports Park near the end of the season. You know a thing or two about racing around there. You've got a couple of trophies from there with legend cars. For those that are watching, that are thinking, hey, I want to take my 4-cylinder car out there, any advice you can give to them about the road course?
Do it. I love road course racing. That's so much fun. On iRacing, that's the majority of what I do. Get tired of going in circles, so I turn left and right once in a while. So no, I definitely do it. It was the funnest thing I've ever done.
So I guess if the offer was there with a mini stock, with East Coast Mini Stock Tour, to hop in one, would you?
Yeah, probably. Depends on the date.
Okay, well there you go. I know they're still trying to cycle through their schedule, so I know Drew and the boys are getting ready to go to Lake Dowsett this weekend. So maybe it's something that's looking forward. Now, before we go back to social, I know there's a couple of more there. Dylan, I do see a comment from Kathy Cole, and we were talking about this on the weekend actually. For those that aren't there on our live show to do the top 10 or at least the full field rundown at the end of the show. Dylan, you know as well as I do, when you're one announcer and you're on the racetrack, it's kind of hard to see a full field rundown without it actually physically in front of you. So that's why we haven't done that the last couple of weeks. When there's somebody else in the tower, it's kind of easy to do, but it's kind of hard to get that back and forth. So Kathy, I hope that answers your question. Dylan, it's easy. You know as well as I do, you can't be two places at once, right?
Yeah, and we don't have like 4 sets of eyes, but it's great that Kathy, you're listening, and that's something we can work on. And usually the tour is pretty good at getting the results back pretty quick. So the next time we're doing a broadcast, we'll make sure to get the top 10 out as soon as we can. I guess there we'll transition back to social media, Tim, and we already kind of addressed the 2 150 races coming up. But Ryan Spencer on the Pro Stock Tour Facebook is asking you, Cole, how will you prepare yourself for 300 laps between 2 days of racing next weekend? Does the mental game kind of change since you're spacing it out and you're going to have about 12 hours in between racing, even a bit more than that?
No, not really. I mean, I've been working on my physical shape, eating better and everything. So I think I'm prepared for that. I'd race 500 laps if I could. So I think that part's fine. It's just I have a hard time remembering to eat. So I just gotta remember to eat between events.
Well, we'll get JC at Scotia Speed World to throw some burgers at you in between. Jesse from Petty Raceway is wondering, Cole, someone offers you 3 races in the Camping World Truck Series, but you get to pick the tracks. Where are you going?
Probably Martinsville, Charlotte, and I don't know, Kansas, maybe. I don't know what the third one. You guys can pick.
Would your preference be more of like the 1.5 miles or short track racing, which you're accustomed to now?
Probably short track race, or maybe even a road course. I'd probably go to Watkins Glen.
Or CTMP whenever they get back to Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go through here a bit more. Ken's writing, Cole, a big thank you for giving a young fan your trophy Saturday. Petty, you made this little boy's race. He thinks you're the best. And that just kind of adds on the fans. How important is it to have the fans back at the track and getting more and more, Cole, as well?
Yeah, I've been giving away my flags the past couple of races, and the trophies. They're kind of all just stacking up. So you're kind of just taking memories now. Less trophies, less dust for Olivia to clean up in the host. So now it's great to see the kids. They come there to support you, and it's the least you can do is make that little boy's day. And hopefully we see him at the racetrack again.
Scott wrote here, not sure which year, 2017 or 18 finale at Scotia, you and the 67, what a battle it must have been door to door the last 50 laps. Tim, I want to say that was 2018 because I think I was there.
I think it was the 200.
I think it was 2015.
Yeah, it was a little bit earlier than that. It was
Donald
the
won
200,
the
right?
championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sucked. Yeah, I remember that. I led most of the race, and then on a restart, me and Dylan ran side by side for I don't know how long. But we put a good show on for the fans, and he ended up winning. We put on a really good race for everyone.
I've got one more from my brain, Tim, because I just thought about this and just talking about your wins, Cole, that you've had at Riverside and Scotia. You won that triple 50s race we had a couple of years ago. Some people say that it was my fault that Greg Proud lost because the 3 fans I picked, they all spun the wheel, and it actually ended up helping you a couple times. What did you think of the triple 50s format with the inversions that we had pretty much at random?
It was great for me. I don't know. It was different, I will say. It seemed that race in particularly, it's just whoever got in the lead seemed to run away with it at the time. Noggle led 50 laps. I led 50 laps, and Greg Proud led 50 laps. So that was my first Riverside win, so I thought it was great. I don't know if I'd be for it again, but I'll do whatever they want me to do.
I want to add to that because you took the roulette wheel from Victory
I did.
Lane.
I seen it the other day.
Where was it?
It's right, I don't know, right next to the washroom, I think, at Riverside.
Okay, so they took it. Did you ever think about, maybe kidnapping it?
I did take it. It got back to my shop, and Joan Rui took it back from me.
Well, what she doesn't know won't hurt her, right? We're
No.
among friends here.
Yeah, we're all friends. She said she needed it, but I don't know what they're doing with it.
Dylan, do we have any ideas? You had the dazzling coat right beside it, right?
I got questions about it. They're like, "Hey, what happened in the wheel?" And it's like, I don't know. Like, Cole was kind of celebrating next to it, but we didn't throw the blame on you. And then we found out we got it back. Hey, it's all good. It's at Riverside, right? It's kind of at home. I think it may belong to Steel Mazda. I think maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
So as long as it stays in the closet, I think we're fine, right? No,
Yes,
no
exactly.
more 5, 10, 15 inversions. I think we'll be okay.
None of that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's look forward. IWK 250. We assume it's going to happen sometime later in this season. Still haven't got that notification as to when it will be, but we just went to New Brunswick and it's green up there. We've got people in the stands. We've got, driver introductions. People can come down and, meet the drivers afterwards. Are you looking forward to getting back to the racetrack at the IWK 250 and trying to win that thing?
I am. It's not my best racetrack, like I said before, but we're working on our program to get better, and we're hit or miss there. We're usually top 3 cars, so no, we're definitely looking forward to it. And we're trying to get that one knocked off our list.
And looking forward to the end of the season as well. We've got a couple of 3-week stretches. We're going to go. Obviously, this weekend has your off weekend. You're going to be going racing, but we have the double at Scotia. We've got one at Riverside. We've got one at Petty International Raceway. Obviously, with COVID throwing the schedule together, you kind of said that you're a racer. You'll go anywhere. But what do you think of this 3-week, 1 week off sort of deal that we have coming together?
That's a lot. I think I race on until the last race at Scotia with the Fredericton 250 and the Mike Stevens racing there. I think we're racing every weekend if I'm not mistaken. It's a lot. I will say that's a lot. And you start doubting yourself and why you're putting yourself through this, but it's all rewarding in the end.
And there's a lot of racing to come. Is there any way, and I know Kathy kind of mentioned that in her comment there, is there a way that we can sort of, in your mind, put the promoter's hat on, kind of alleviate that or try to make it work? What are your thoughts on it?
Like you said, one announcer, it's kind of hard to do everything at once. So I don't know. My promoter hat isn't very good. It's a little bit tight. So I think I'm going to stick with the racer hat.
I don't blame you. Looking forward, where do you see your career going in 5-10 years? Do you see yourself, obviously you want to win those big races down south. Where else do you see yourself? What do you see yourself with the target on?
I don't know. Dad always mentions let's do a couple truck races, but it's fun super late model racing. We have the company. I'm hopefully me and my brother are gonna take that over one day. So you got to be realistic with everything. So I don't know. We'll see how things goes, and we'll just take it as it is. We'll start. I have a brand new Rowdy car down there that only has one race on, so I'd like to get that one dirty a couple more times. Next year we probably won't be running for points. Next year we'll probably be running, the Genders Towns. Dixieland, I think, just happened this weekend in Wisconsin. So, we'll be mixing our schedule up a little bit and going to Oxford more. So, I think this might be the last year for a while to run for points other than Jared. So, next year, we're going to do what we want to do.
We had the CTV shoot back in the middle of COVID with the iRacing. You kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier on. Have you been doing any iRacing? Obviously, in the summer, it gets busy, but what's your iRacing schedule been like?
It's been 0. I think probably have 4 hours with an updates, but you don't have time to get on it. Even in the wintertime, I wasn't on it as much as I did. I always got frustrated and just quit, as you probably know. And I go to bed at like 9 o'clock, so we always did it past my bedtime. So I might have to adjust that.
It'll get later on in the winter, and once you get past Pensacola, there'll probably be a couple of weeks there where you can probably play
I'll be able to fit it. I want to go road course racing though, in the Mazdas.
Well, Hickory's coming to the sim.
I know. I like Hickory. I'm looking forward to that.
We'll do last call on social media. If you got any questions or comments for Cole, drop them down below before we go back to Dylan Denver. What do you have for Cole? Anything else before we let Cole go for the night?
I do want to go back to a couple of years ago, something we haven't touched on yet, Cole. And you were part of the Colwickie driver development program, I believe in like 2016, 2017 for 2 years around that point. What was it like being a part of that program and all the cool aspects that came with it?
It was cool. We did a lot of great things. We gave back to our community. We did a lot. We taught a lot of people about Alan and his legacy and what he did for the sport, and people didn't know that. So right now they're still doing it. I placed second and fourth, I think, or third. I don't know what happened, but no, it's a great deal. TR Tom Roberts was his marketing director, and he's doing a great job with it all. And we're looking forward to see who gets it this year.
I'm going to slide right in there and ask you because I know TR was at the 250 in Halifax when you won it. How cool was it to have him there when you won the 250?
It was great. I don't know if he remembers. He likes his beer, but no, it was great. He was there for both years. I think I won, and the second year I got third. But TR and CC, they're great people, and we hopefully see them again here soon.
Wasn't there a beer fest in Halifax on one of those 250 weekends or something?
He's scheduled on the beer fest. Just coincidence.
Yeah, it just kind of aligns right together. I like how that works. Denver, go back ahead.
I just have one more question, Cole. You've got to race lots of races, Snowball Derby, All-American 400, like you said, Oxford 250s. So you've raced against a lot of drivers. Is there any one driver in particular that you've gotten to race with that stands out for your mind, whether for good or bad? You've raced against a lot of talent and I'm sure lots of weapons too, but is there anyone that stands out in your mind?
We got to race Kyle Busch. That was pretty cool. He's kind of my guy that I look up to. So we got to race him, passed him a couple times last year at the Derby, and we finished ahead of him. I don't think he had the best race car, so we'll see when he gets into when his gear gets better. But like Bubba Pollard and those guys, like I always say, I want to be the next Bubba Pollard, just a little bit smaller. Because those guys are great. They do this for a living. Stephen Nasse, Donnie Wilson. He's one of my close friends. They're all great to race with, and it's just an accomplishment to be able to race up against all those guys. We've qualified well up there. We just need to seal the deal and get it done.
I see a couple of more comments rolling in. Dylan, what do you got on social?
Okay, let's go back here. Well, Tim, I guess we'll start with a question kind of for you. It's about the doubleheader weekend. Ryan, he's still wondering, is it one ticket for both shows or two? Would you have any information on that?
I can tell you right now that I don't. I know everybody that was there on the first race that still has their bracelet can get in for 50% off on August 14th. I would assume there's going to be a weekend pass, but that's way above my pay grade. I know you can follow along live on timscorner.tv if you can't be there, but the best way to enjoy it is to actually be at the racetrack. And as Cole said, the show that we had on race number one was a phenomenal show with the 6 cars that we had up front duking it out for the win. So I can tell you from a Friday standpoint, and I'm going to break a lot of 4-cylinder hearts right now. The Toursec Twin 50 is not happening Friday night. They're retooling the schedule on the Friday nights. I can almost tell you there's an announcement coming for next Friday night, and I don't want to break any hearts because I've heard some things and heard some rumblings, but we'll leave that to Scotia Speed World and those folks over there. But I can tell you there's no twin 50s this Friday night. So their schedule being retooled and everything else. Dylan, you know how that works with COVID. And to answer Ryan's question, I would assume there's going to be a weekend pass, but I can't say for sure.
A Heartbreak Kid, Tim Terry, easy enough for me to say. Cole, a couple questions here. You kind of mentioned about some of the NASCAR drivers you got to race against at the Snowball Derby. Who would you say is your all-time favorite NASCAR driver?
Kyle Busch. He's just awesome. He doesn't care, so that's the best. I love his personality, and I kind of resemble it a little bit. Unfortunately, sometimes I can be a little bit selfish, but I think Kyle Busch is the man.
And one for me again. I mean, the way 2020 went last year, not a ton of people got to travel for work or whatever, but I mean, you went down to the States. How was it during that time? I mean, we saw the crowd was packed there in Florida and then up here in Nova Scotia. I mean, we were kind of in a little lockdown there. So it must have been a little weird going from a lockdown place to kind of a place that was a little full open, right?
Yeah, at one point, we were parked right next to where they walk into the track. And I had to grab people's ankles because they were so close to us. Like our car must have been 100 people around at one point just trying to get off the racetrack. And it was quite annoying, but Florida is just like nothing ever happened. It was cool at one point, but then it got annoying. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not too familiar with Jennerstown. Where is that in the States? Which state is that?
It's Pennsylvania, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
Okay. I mean,
they're flying into at least.
That's right. But you sounds like you get the red eye though to go over there.
I think we leave here at 3:40. We get to Toronto. We have an hour layover, and we get there at 7:00. I think.
A.M. P.M.
P.M.
Okay, never mind. Okay, that's not a half bad day at the airport then.
It's not bad. You gotta go through Toronto with everything now. Like we're trying to work some things to go to the 250 this year, and Mom might fly down. You gotta go I think you got to go Halifax, Toronto to Washington, Washington to Bangor, just because of this COVID deal now. So it's a little bit annoying, but I'm sure they'll figure it out as they go.
That's all we got in socials, Tim.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy with everything going on and going about. But Denver, I'll ask you, because we got to watch the Cars Tour race from Jennerstown a couple of weeks ago. What are you looking forward to seeing on Saturday night? Well, actually, let me rephrase this. You're going to be in the flag stand on Saturday night. I'm going to have two monitors set up. I'm going to have Jennerstown on one, and I'm going to have the production from Miramichi on the other. So you won't be able to see the first half of the show, but what are you looking forward to seeing on Saturday after seeing that Cars Tour race?
Well, anytime, Tim, that you have local talent going down south, it automatically ups the intrigue for that race. And obviously, the Snowball Derby the last few years with Cole and Jared going down there has made that, so much of a bigger deal around here. And kind of the same thing when Wayne Smith was running some of those races down in Florida this past winter. It seems like everyone from the Maritimes kind of tunes in and cheers on for the local guys. So definitely looking forward to that once we're all wrapped up in Miramichi. 4:00 start, so we should be done relatively early. But Jennerstown is a beautiful track, and I believe that place was shut down for a couple of years, like a decade ago, and they've refurbished it. It's a beautiful track, and it puts on some great racing, and I'm sure it's going to be a phenomenal show on Saturday night. And hopefully Cole can bring some hardware back up north of the border.
And I believe 7 Atlantic is when that starts. And I was talking to Tony Stevens a little bit earlier on today, and it's kind of neat because for those that know our side of the deal, Tony Stevens Pit Road TV, his home racetrack is Jennerstown Speedway. He grew up in Pennsylvania. I know with our deal, being able to broadcast races at Scotia Speed World this year is kind of neat. It kind of comes full circle. So I know what Tony's going through this weekend on that side of things, but it'll be streamed, I believe, on Tim's Corner Motorsports on Facebook. You'll be able to go to timscorner.tv, hopefully, and be able to pick it up there. Or the easiest way is pitrow.tv. And the best thing is it's free. So you can go watch it, whether it's on the Facebook page or watch it at pitrow.tv. It's completely free. So you have no excuse to not cheer on the 53 car this weekend at Jennerstown. I do see one comment coming in from Jesse Thompson, wants to relive that Petty Pass race back a couple of years ago. It's the last time Pass has been in Canada, and you had to battle with Ben Rowe for the win. Let's talk about Pass. What do you remember about that?
It was fun. I remember we led most of the race. A late race restart, Ben got me, and I had to rub him a little bit to get him out of my way. But we raced hard for 20, 30 more laps, and we put a great show on for the fans. I wish Pass came back. They have a great gut thing going right now, and we picked up a lot of speed with the Pass tires. So we definitely look forward to racing with that series again, and maybe they'll come back to Canada here soon.
You've got a lot of marketing partners that help make it happen, and I know you got a dedicated crew that puts this 53 car onto the racetrack. Who makes that for you every week?
We have David, James, Pixie, Greg, Mom, Dad, Huey, Craig Langell, Olivia, Atlantic Tolo, Top Construction, Hanging on Fisheries, PFC Brakes, Swift Springs, Irving's, Bayview Kenworth, Route 7 Excavating, Murray Davis Excavating. The list just goes on and on. Sorry if I forgot anybody, but we just can't do it without our partners.
Well, this has been fun, Cole. We wish you all the best this weekend. Good luck. Go grab some hardware. We'll see you at the Twin 150s, I guess it is, at Scotia Speed World here in a couple weeks.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
That's Cole Butcher, driver, the number 53 Atlantic Tilt Load Pro Stock. And we're getting ready, Denver, for a busy weekend of our own. Friday night, Scotia Speed World. We're going to have some racing action. Kicked off, the Car Star Weekly Racing Series is back. You can watch that on timscorner.tv. And we may have a special announcement for subscribers that is related to that show, Denver. I'm not going to say a whole lot else other than that. We're still trying to dot the T's, cross the I's, all that other stuff. But then
you have lots of surprises tonight, Tim, that you're just hinting, teasing everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a few. So I can't tell you exactly what the plan is there because we're still working on some stuff, but we will be live at Scotia Speed World August 6th. Car Star Weekly Racing Series. There's no Toursec Twin 50s for mini stocks, but everything is in action. Fleet Break Atlantic Sportsman. They'll have race number 2 on their championship season. We got the mini stocks there. We've got the Fleet Break Atlantic Bandoleros. First of all, Darren and Janice, thank you very much for coming on board once again at Scotia Speed World. They're not only sponsoring the Bandolero division, they're sponsoring the late model sportsman division, Strictly Hydraulics and Industrial Supply Legends. And then the next night, we are going to Speedway Miramichi for the Atlantic Modified Tour, 35 lapper presented by Blackville Auto Parts and JBS Towing, Mini Stock 50, Demolition, Crash for Cash, Denver. It's going to be a busy night. It starts at 4 o'clock. We love 4 o'clock starts. And it's live on Tim's Corner TV. What can the fans expect of Miramichi?
Wildness and craziness, to say the least. It's looking like we're going to have another stellar field of demo cars. I'm guessing 30 to 40. The current entry list sits at 30, and they always keep rolling in. And at this point in the week, we could end up even with 50. I wouldn't count that out. And there's a big trophy on the line. And Tim, I don't know if you've seen some of the cars, but they got some big cars for this demo. That makes it exciting. We like big cars.
I saw Trenton Silliker's car. That thing looks a little mean.
Oh, it is, and I've heard that's not the only one, so that'll be fun. The bag race is back. And I still say we need to find a way to put a camera in a car for the bag race, but we'll leave that. But yeah, mini stock racing, everyone's going to be chasing J.R. Lawson for the win. Neil Muse still leads the points, so lots of excitement there. The bomber class is coming off what was an excellent Firecracker 50. They have a tie for the points lead, and then the Atlantic Modified Tour has had some great racing this weekend, including last weekend at Speedway 660. So round 7 for them, and the third of which is in Miramichi. There's lots of excitement in Miramichi Saturday night, and if you're in the area, definitely stop by. 4 o'clock start, nice and early. There's a lot going on Saturday all around. So
yeah, it's going to be a great show. Did I see somewhere that Scott Kenny was trying to find a race car for the bag race?
Scott Kenny's trying to find a car for he is for the bag race. That would be interesting, I would think. Scott
Can
Kenny,
he not bring the mini stock?
Technically, I think so.
Is there a rule against the roll cage?
In a 4-cylinder car, you're allowed something, but there's a reason I don't do that.
It's a demo car. We're putting it in the bag race. Throw an extra seat in it and come race.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's taken care of. I think, and I was talking to Amber Sickles earlier. I think she has a car potentially.
She does.
So, yeah,
she's not on my list, so there's another car. It's going to be a big show.
And if she doesn't, she does now. We'll find her one. Once again,
we gotta find 2 cars.
We're digging our Dylan. You want to come race? Yeah, you want to come race a demo?
I'll wait till the very best fall shootout.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. Wait until October. Save the best for last or something. Whatever you want to call it. 4 o'clock Saturday. Join us. Going to be fun. Now, there's a lot of good looking street stocks in Atlantic Canada. I don't want to say that I'm biased, but I like this one that's on your screen right now. And it went to Victory Lane the last time that Petty International Raceway was racing. And now we are on the eve of a $5,000 to win show. So who better to tee it up than the driver of the number 60 car? Mike Weagle is joining us. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I guess we'll get it right out of the way. $5,000 to win. What would you do to win $5,000 on Saturday night?
What we do or what we're going to do? Well, you got to finish to get it, right?
Yep. So what would you do if you're in a position, let's say in the top 5, top 3, comes down to the last few laps of that 100 lap race? What do you have to do? What would you do to win that 5,000?
Well, the past me would probably bunt people out of the way, but the new me, I think I'm just going to run the race hard and run the other people the way they run me, I guess.
I want to ask you about the car because we just saw the pictures. For those that might not have been to Petty Raceway in the last couple of seasons or maybe have been living under a rock, how did that race car come to be? Because that thing's beautiful.
Well, it's a Chevy 108 Monte Carlo like the rest of them, but I got the body from somebody, come right from Jack Roush. And we got it from Earl there, and the price was right, so we put her on, made it work. So it was a lot of fun putting it together. It took about 2 years to build it, and it did turn out nice.
And then the culmination, I guess, you're a River Glade International champion in a street stock. So let's walk back to a couple of weeks ago. I know Dylan and I were at Scotia Speed World, so we didn't get to see it. So fill us in. How did you get to Victory Lane in the River Glade International?
Well, we went. That was our third night racing that car this year, and we've changed it every time on setup. And we didn't have it ready to go practice, so we were going in that night not knowing what we got. So we went in practice. It was a little loose, so we threw the new tires on, and luckily drew pole for the heat race and went into the first turn. Couldn't turn the thing, so we both started on the pole, and then they inverted us, and then we started top 10, and then we just went from there.
And now with this street stock division, it is competitive, but obviously Michael Cormier has been the top dog the last couple of seasons. So he was on the podium in that race. What did it feel like to get up there and finish in front of that 68 car in a big race like the River Glade International?
Well, he's the one we're all chasing, so it felt good to get that win. And my third start in that car, it felt really good. A lot of hard work pay off for sure.
So now looking forward into the season, the 5K is going to be big, but we've got some big races coming up at Petty Raceway. Obviously, the Mike Stevens Memorial is always big. You got some races at the end of the season that always carry a little extra laps and a little bit extra weight. What are you most looking forward to at the end of this 2021 season?
Well, so far it's been long laps. The last two races has been straight out, no cautions. It's hot in them cars. I think going to add a ball of water in there this time. If I can get through the year in one piece and keep on finishing up towards the front, it'd be a good year.
We are live and interactive with Mike Weagle. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment. We'll get it on the show here this evening. Do you prep any differently? Obviously, it's a 100-lap race. There's 5K on the line, which I think is really the only difference at the end of the day. But do you prep any differently going into this race, knowing that there's a big person on the line for the winner?
Well, I haven't stopped working on that car since the first year. So prepping is, we just put a new motor in it. So we're up on the ends how that's going to work. We practiced the other day. We're going to go practice again probably Friday. 4 new tires again. So, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, you were telling me on Saturday night about the motor change. So what sparked the change prior to the 5K?
Well, just everybody's been waiting on getting crate motors. One finally came in, and the International had to tear it all apart. So it's sitting there apart instead of paying somebody to put that all back together. And then you finish up top in these next few races, you got to tear it apart again. So just putting a crate motor in it so you don't have to tear it apart just saves a lot of time and money right there.
But $5,000 make it a little easier if you have to go through tech at the end of the night, right?
Well, it would pay for the crate motor, that's for sure.
Absolutely. We are live and interactive here. Dylan, are you seeing any early returns on social media?
Nothing yet, except Robbie McLean's wondering where's my camera.
Oh, we can put you on there if you really want to.
Yeah, get that $4 ready, maybe.
Okay, well,
Mike, it's good to have you here. We got to hang out for a little bit after the River Glade weekend. I think we had a couple beers mixed in there, so maybe it was a bit foggy that night too. So maybe the night's a bit hazy, but
there's never any of those at Petty.
No,
it's always your a good
car.
Time.
It was your car. I remember the first time I saw it because I had to do a double take and thought, wait, is there like a NASCAR show car here? What's going on? And then I saw the body. You explained how you got it, but why did you go that route with the street stock instead of like the typical Monte Carlo kind of body?
Well, I wanted to be something different. I looked up and down, tried to get like some kind of body I could take off a car and put on it just to be different. Like there's always a Monte Carlo body. So I actually ordered the body for Monte Carlo to put on it, and I was down talking to Earl. He says, I got a body for you. And he's like, oh yeah? So we went and looked at it, and I said, if it's all there, I'll buy it. And I actually called and canceled my body and then bought that one. So
do you find performance-wise it's a little better than the Monte Carlo body? Pros, cons with it?
I would say it's no performance. You don't gain nothing with it for sure. It's definitely hard to replace the body panel, so I don't really want to beat it up. It's a one of a kind for sure, and you'll never be able to get a piece for it. That's for sure.
Is it all one piece, or is it a few pieces you could put together, kind of like with the Cup and Xfinity deal right now?
Actually, it came in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 10 pieces. So it was a lot of work to put together and to make it fit on that car.
So it definitely didn't take just one night of just, well, let's put it together like a puzzle piece. It does take a little bit of time to get it all together.
Yeah, for sure. I built that car from the ground up. I bought it as a street stock, stripped it right down, and a lot of time and effort in that, and a lot of money too.
So you're not really into the, I guess, to use a Cyril Hall term, like a rock'em sock'em racing deal where some street stocks will maybe lean into each other a little bit in the corners. You want to try and keep that car pristine, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a new look on racing here and go away from my old ways and start on my new ways. And if you can't go by the, outside, or if you don't have it open, just wait till you can, I guess.
Tim, what would his old ways be?
We all get a little bit mature with old age, right, Mike?
Right. I've been
Yeah.
doing it a long time now, so I think it's time to smarten up, right?
Yeah, well, I was gonna segue into that. You've been doing this for a long time. When did you get your start in racing?
1998 in the Riverglade Speedway in the four cylinders, yeah. And I actually raced street stock, and I have a couple championships in Riverglade Speedway with the street stock back in the day.
So why the transition back and forth from the street stock to the mini stock? Obviously, let's start with this last one here. We're showing highlights of the Gunslinger from a couple of years ago. I want to ask you about that in a moment. But why the transition, I guess, now up to street stock from where we were with the mini stock?
Well, you just got to move up some if when you do well and just want to move on, try something different. I'm a Honda guy. I can make a Honda turn and make it go, but it's a big learning curve with these street stock there. I definitely want to thank like the Mackenzie Racing, BNR Racing. They helped me a long ways on teaching me stuff to do with these cars, but it's definitely a lot different for sure.
Now we're showing the highlights of the Gunslinger that you won, the inaugural Gunslinger back in 2019, and you want to talk about the old ways. You and BJ went side by side for about, I think it was what, 10, 15, 20 laps. I don't think you guys touched a door, maybe once in the last couple of laps. Good hard race. And what do you remember about that first Gunslinger race? Because I know that's turned into something phenomenal at 660.
Well, that race there, I definitely had an underdog car, just an old automatic, and that was the most fun I had in a race in a long, long time. Like I still can't believe that I won that race. And yeah, BJ ran me pretty good there, and I think he knew better not to try to beat me out of the way there. Like, if you're gonna spin me, you're coming with me probably. So we went into the tech afterwards, and they're checking transmission. They couldn't believe that it was an automatic, but it was definitely one of the highlights of the four cylinder up in Farrington for sure to win that race.
You had a lot of highlights in the Honda as well. What are your big takeaways from the Honda days?
The big takeaways, well, a lot of crashes, a lot of blowing ups, hard works. I guess here's the biggest takeaway is wreck the thing that is pretty much rode off in practice and then win the feature at the end of the night when we rebuilt the whole entire car. That was one of our big. We also won the championship by changing the motor right before the race too in the pits. That was a big one too.
I know these Honda guys, we've had conversations back and forth about rules. East Coast Mini Stock Tour, now the big thing, I guess, for Honda guys. What's your take on the way the East Coast Mini Stock Tour is going, allowing more models? From an outside perspective, now that you're running street stock, what do you think of the series?
Well, like definitely get more car count would be better, but they got those cars turning pretty quick there. But I would like to get back in a Honda someday there and show them what I still got.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If you had a Honda or a mini stock show up at your front door, would you take it for a ride?
Probably would, yeah.
So the street stock obviously is where you're focused now. Do you see yourself moving up? Obviously, with racing, there's all kinds of different agendas and all kinds of different divisions. Do you see yourself ever moving up or moving around and maybe trying something different?
Well, I kind of wish I didn't build the street stock because of the amount of money it costs and the competition. I think I should have just went right to sportsman. I think it would have been cheaper. But I think I find myself going to retire a little bit in the future here.
Well, I know your father never says that he's retired. I think his last race was a couple of years ago. But for those that don't know, how's Eugene doing? And does he ever get the itch to get back in a race car?
God love Dad, eh? He's the spokesman of everything. I think. I think he's he can barely crawl on the ground there to change the tires. So I don't think he'll be back in the car. I don't think I'll let him. I think he'll have a heart attack out there or something.
So if you do move to sportsman and you need a spotter.
No.
Once again, we're live and interactive. I see a couple of comments rolling in, but before we get to those, Denver, what do you have for Mr. Weagle?
Well, Mike, I kind of want to flash back a little bit. You said you ran at Riverglade, and then you had that transition period. Riverglade shuts down, Petty Raceway reopens. What was it like transitioning between tracks there and seeing Petty Raceway come back to life?
Well, that's funny when you say that because I lived like just a kilometer away from Petty Raceway right before it opened. So I used to go up there and practice all the time. So I kind of already knew what I needed there. And the very first four-cylinder race that they had at Petty when Wayne and them bought the track there, I won that one actually. Come from on the outside. So back at Shediac too, and won a lot of races there. Won a lot of River Glade is back where, I find myself that I'm really good in traffic. And I think it's coming from River Glade because there was, 20, 30 cars and you always had to start at the back. So you had to go through a lot of traffic. And Craig Ward and them back there with us, Mike Edwards and all that back at River Glade. It was a lot of battles back then.
I believe you had a year, I want to say 2015, 2016, where you won multiple championships. You won the championship at Petty. I think you won the championship at Miramichi and maybe some other big wins along the way. To have a year like that where you're winning at multiple tracks and the dedication and commitment it takes to do that, what do you remember from a year like that and just how rewarding is it at the end of the day?
Well, it's definitely a lot of hard work and you put a lot of effort into it. And, actually, I think that same year, 660 had their first Honda race. So we won that one too. So I think that car was on rails that year. We won 7 races in a row and with the same set of tires and won them all right in a row. So it was a really good year. That car was on rails for sure.
And I believe you got to take some trips down to Sydney around then too and run some races down there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we went down to Sydney twice, I think there. That was fun. That track right there is pretty much the same as River Glade Speedway. Short track, and I think we finished 3rd the first time there, which was a good run.
And Dylan and Tim, you guys know lots about Sydney.
I think when Craig Ward got into the race car the first time he was there, he said the exact same thing, that the racetrack runs like River Glade. And Dylan, you had your first trip to Sydney last year. Your thoughts on that place, seeing it for the first time?
Wicked fun. If they get that street stock division kind of going again with the new owners, Mike, you'd have to bring you and the wife up there and bring the cars because it was some fun racing to watch. Michael Cormier, Wayne Smith, and the other Cape Breton Street Stock Association drivers just really sling it out. I mean, Tim, that was some fun racing we had there the Thanksgiving weekend. Great little track. I mean, that's a must go to, I think. If you're going to tour around any tracks in Nova Scotia, got to make a trip to Sydney.
I think next year is going to be one of our touring years. We're going to just race when we want next year, I think.
I guess we'll kind of transition that way because Denver just listed off all the racetracks that you've been to. Is there a racetrack that you want to go to that you have circled on your bucket list, or maybe one you want to go back to that you haven't been to in a while?
I would like to go to Riverside. That would be a wicked track to try. I've never been to Scotia. So there's 2 tracks that I've never raced at. Those would be, if they had street stocks there, that would be definitely, I think Riverside would be the one to go to.
So you might have to borrow a 4-cylinder or a sportsman car then.
Maybe, or maybe we can get a street stock race there.
Well, there you go. I know Dylan kind of mentioned the Cape Breton Street Stock guys are trying to get something together and trying to build that deal back up in Sydney. So who knows what the next one will be, but you got the River Glade International off your list, at least on street stock. So what's the next thing, or maybe a race in a 4-cylinder car that you didn't get that slipped away that you want to put on your bucket list? What's on that list of races you want to win?
I think a Mike Stevens race because Mike was the same age as me, and I used to work for Robbie, and so they were really close, and they sponsor our race cars. So a Mike Stevens would be good, and maybe go down and do speed weekends and something, do good in that race maybe.
Now, Dylan mentioned the wife, Patricia's. You guys worked your way up from mini stocks now up to street stocks together. So obviously, when everybody puts their helmet on, it's another driver on the racetrack. But is there any rivalry in between you two, or is there anything that going on?
Speaking of Patricia, last year, I only raced a couple races, and she was racing most of the races. She was kind of our guinea pig for last year to learn how to set these cars up. She did good. She's doing good. The car's still in one piece. I raced it twice, and I think I smashed it up twice. So, there's not really a rivalry between us because, she kind of knows that I'm not going to say, but I think I'm the one at the higher end than she is because I got way more experience. But she's definitely come along there. She's learning for sure.
So now she doesn't have to worry about the car not coming home in one piece with you driving it. Now you have your own car ready to go, right?
Right. I'd like her to try my car, but she won't get in it.
Well, would you ever do a ride swap sort of thing? You get in the 10 car, she gets in the 60?
No problem.
Well, there you go. She's not home tonight, right? Is that the deal?
Right. She's out camping for this week. So yeah. But I might even take her car once this year to a different track. Maybe hard to say.
Now, do you have to tell her, or is it one of those things that it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission?
Well, it's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
So there you go. We're among friends here. We won't tell anybody. Once again, we're live and interactive with Mike Weagle. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment. We'll get it on the show. Dylan, I think there's one over there from, is that Jesse?
Yeah, Mr. Petty, in fact. Miss Petty, that's for Craig McPetrick, right? Does he still have that name?
I believe so.
I saw him in oyster bed on the weekend. I should have said it to him.
Did
Jesse's wondering.
Did he have the sash with him? Because that's what he usually carries.
I don't remember, but he was around there.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mike, Jesse's wondering, where do you want to take the street stock through Atlantic Canada and New England? So we got your answer about Atlantic Canada. You want to bring it to Riverside, but if you can go stateside, where would you want to bring the street stock?
Bring the street stock to stateside. Well, I don't think we could race anywhere over there. Don't think it would be in the budget.
Let's say money. Let's say, hey, some investor says, here's a bunch of money. Go have some fun. Where are you going?
Oh, we definitely like to go to like maybe Bristol. Bristol would be a good track.
Dirt Bristol or paved Bristol?
Oh, definitely pave. I don't know about that dirt stuff. It gets the car real dirty. I'm pretty picky. I got OCD, so everything's got to be clean and tidy here.
Right. Tim, that's all we got for now for Mike. So Mike's here for a little bit, everyone. So if you want to learn a thing or two about street stock racing, leave your question below.
I kind of want to dabble back and forth here because you mentioned some of those drivers that you race with in the River Glade days, guys like Craig Ward and Mike Edwards. And, those guys are still around and racing. But is there any driver that might have, moved on from racing, or I don't like to use the word retired from racing, but have moved on from racing that you'd like to swap a little more paint with?
Moved on from racing. There's, most of them are still around. So, I don't really think so.
Okay, so let me rephrase it this way. What's the you mentioned some of those names. Any other names that you have memorable battles with throughout the years?
Well, I can think of a couple cars I don't want to have battles with again, but we won't say that on here. But I'm looking forward to racing against Craig Ward again in the street stock. He's got one just about ready, so it should be fun racing with him again.
Last season was like a melting pot when it came to everything in Atlantic Canada with the COVID deal and everybody coming to Petty International Raceway. 19 or 20, I believe, on the entry list, and a couple of more I think are probably going to show up. So competition-wise, what are you looking at coming up for this weekend's racing?
Well, we're going to give it all of our best for sure. We've been working on that car day and night. Actually, I'll probably go out and work on it after I'm done with you here. But, give it all we can. 4 new tires and be there at the end, I guess, is the way to be.
Time trials coming up on Saturday night. I know as a racer, most like it. As a fan, it's single car qualifying. What is your take on doing time trials?
I don't like time trials, because you practice during the day and you go out in your heat race and your car's not that great. Like I see myself in the 4-cylinder, gone out in the heat race. It's not run really good. I throw the book at it and be good in the features. So you don't get that chance to change the stuff on your car in 3 laps. So I don't like time trials.
You mentioned that magic invert that happened during the River Glade International. How important is qualifying going to be this weekend, knowing that the competition is coming in from across the region?
Well, it's definitely going to be important to be up front, but they'll probably invert again or something. But I would say, it puts on a better show. When they inverted that last race, I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do good now in this race. All the fast guys are in front of me. So, it turned out my way. So, who knows what's going to happen for sure.
Biggest street stock payout in Atlantic Canada that at least we know of, $5,000 to win. What would it mean to put your name right beside that and put yourself in the history books?
It would definitely be a big accomplishment and a lot of hard work pay off for sure.
And obviously with Patricia racing in the same race, what would it mean to get a 1-2 finish or get her up in the top 5 or on the podium with you?
That would be, I would rather her finish in the top 5 or the top 3 than me. But you know what? If she can get all in one piece and stay on the lead lap, that would be a big accomplishment for her.
Okay, so let me phrase this. We talked about the old ways. We've had a couple of guests on the show that we asked them if you hit the white flag lap, somebody's on your front bumper, do you kind of finesse them or move them away to get the win? But with $5,000 on the line, do those old ways maybe come out on the last lap?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying really hard this year to, last year I raced the car a couple times. I had to talk myself out of my old ways a few times, like going around the track there. So, it'll be what it'll be. If the chance, if I'm in, I'm in. If I'm not, I'm not, right?
The car is so nice, you don't want to scuff it though, right?
That's the problem. See, that's helping my ways a little better.
Well, there you go, Denver. We'll do last call on social media, by the way. If you have any questions for Mike, drop them down below. Denver, anything else you've got for Mike?
Micah, I want to ask you about the enduro that Petty Raceway held just a few weeks ago. I understand you were part of that. How did that go?
Well, that didn't go so well. I wish I never went in it because kind of made a little conflict between friends, and you know, I don't know how it happened, but I definitely didn't mean to hit Trevor there, but it was what it was, and you know, if he can accept my apology, you know, I didn't mean to do it, but I definitely hit him. But I only lasted half a lap. It was definitely not. I was excited to go in that, and you know, half a lap wasn't very exciting.
You had done some of those demolitions and demo enduro style races in Miramichi before, I believe. Had you not?
Yeah, I've done a figure eight Miramichi. That was a blast. Going in the figure eight, that was a lot of fun.
So let's talk. You know, you've done street stock racing. Anything? Is there anything wild and crazy that we could maybe get you behind the wheel and do? Is there anything that we saw? Petty had that car jump through a trailer. Is there anything like that Mike Weagle might be interested in doing?
Maybe we should do a wheelbarrow race and put a motor on it, and we'll see how we go.
That would be fun. What do you think, Sam?
I like the sounds of that.
Patricia keeps telling everybody put a wheelbarrow on it and race backwards, and I'm still gonna do well. So she's got high hopes for me, I guess.
I think I made the comment on the weekend to Richard Martin about Nicholas Noggle. If there was a wheelbarrow, he would drive it. So I think I kind of like that idea. Denver, I don't know about you.
I think it'd be fun.
We got a little thing going on there at Petty with a few of the local four cylinders there. They call me the 5-lap wonder. They can't figure their car out, so let me drive it for 5 laps and I'll tell you what's wrong. So I did the 0-1 of Nick there, and then I drove Chris's, and didn't even take me 5 laps before I pulled off in Chris's. But it's fun to get back in those 4-cylinder cars for sure.
Yeah, looking ahead, obviously there's some big 4-cylinder races coming up. So for those that maybe have a 4-cylinder car that you're available for, they can just call you, right?
That's right. Last year I drove our old car there, but the car wasn't the same as when I had it. But it was a fun long weekend that we raced there. But Buddy sold that now, so he definitely won't be calling me to race that again.
Dylan kind of mentioned it earlier, and we talk about the camaraderie, especially at a racetrack like Speedway 660, where they have the campground on site, but Petty Raceway has one too. And I know you guys spend a lot of time there. How is the camaraderie? How's the atmosphere at Petty Raceway after those races? Because I know for me coming in as a visitor, I know it's fun for me when I stop by.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to do your rounds and stop by and talk to everybody. It's a couple of weeks ago, I think we were all up to 4 o'clock in the morning. So by the time I find when it's a race weekend, by the time Monday comes around, you're pretty tired out.
Well, at least with this one, it's only a Saturday, so it's plenty of time. And maybe with that 5K check sitting beside the camper, it'll be an even better time coming up on the weekend. Ryan McKnight says, "Don't give out all of your secrets."
Well, I don't give out, other than working hard, so definitely not going to give out my secrets unless he wants me to give them to him.
Well, he has a second car that he's trying to sell. It's the Toyota that he ran up there at 660 this past weekend. So maybe if he's looking for a second driver, maybe you can coax him into sliding in the seat of the M1.
Well, when I won that big race there in that Sunfire there, we sold the car 2 weeks later. So a win in a car definitely sells it.
So I guess what you're trying to say is Speed Weekend, Ryan's found a driver, right?
Maybe.
There we go. I know you got a lot of marketing partners that help make that car look good, and you guys have a dedicated group that helps you get to the racetrack each week. Who makes that for you?
Well, we definitely have a dedicated group there. My dad, he lives for racing, that's for sure. And I definitely want to thank Jeff. If it wasn't for Jeff, I wouldn't be able to do this, because he comes here every night whenever I ask, and we work on these cars all the time. And of course, Patricia helps us some. And a few other, Arel, he helps us some when he can, and Jason when he can. And I had to get the list of the sponsors here because we got so many of them. I probably forget one, right? So definitely, you want to thank Maritime Mini Split Heat Pump Cleaning. That's me, of course. So, I've sponsored a few cars there, lettered a few cars in the last 2 years there, and trying to get our name out there. Um, McAction Enterprises, pubs, drive-through, ball exchange. Definitely want to shout out to Bob. That last race, we had a little chat with him, and the little chat turned out to a good turnout for a win. So, Napa Petticodiac, Snuggapug, Shell Needs Convenience Salisbury, Sherwin-Williams Automotive, Extreme Windows and Doors, a Drillian Karaoke, R. Stevens Mechanical, Multi-Rad, Speedy Glass, Interstate Battery, NNJ Landscaping, Salisbury Guardian, Toys for Big Boys, Marshall Cabinets, and there. If I forgot somebody, it's somewhere here, but there's definitely a few of them to help us go.
And obviously the race car looks good and it was fast. Glade International win, and now on to 5K. So I guess the last question we have to ask you, Mike, is what would you do with $5,000 if you win it on Saturday night?
Well, I definitely put it back in my bank account after I just bought that motor, so it would help definitely towards the race car bills.
And I know it's sitting out in the shop, and I know you're itching to get going, so we'll let you get going to that race car. Mike, this has been a blast. Thanks for catching up with us, and we'll see you on Saturday night, maybe with the checker flag out the window.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
That's Mike Weagle, driver, the number 60 Street Stock. Let's talk fantasy points, boys. We rained out last week. We didn't have a show. We were planning on doing the Fleet Break Atlantic Sportsman Division, and it didn't exactly go well, as we've got the two screens up here. Me and Denver are kind of split screen here, like right in the middle of this. There we go. We got some points on the screen. Actually, Paul, leave those sponsors up because Dylan's total is so bad that we don't even need to see it right now.
Hey, oh,
hey, oh, hey. So this is the points from 2 weeks ago. So we really didn't miss much, even though we didn't have a show last week, so we didn't get to showcase it. Brittany closed in because she had the winner of I think we did the Pro Stock race, didn't we, at Riverside? So she had the winner of that race.
That is correct.
She had Nicholas Noggle, gained a little bit of points. I'm still up top. Denver, you're right there with Meredith. Let's talk about this week. And Dylan, let's start with you. Well, let's go back to points. Here we go. Okay. Paul is pulling some magic on us. Okay. There's the points. Alakazam. Look at that. That's magic. Paul, I love the way that works. Dylan, you're lowest on the totem pole. Who do you got for the weekend? We're doing the 5K, by the way, for sportsmen. This is our race of the week. Who do you got?
So what is this, like the draft when you're the worst team, you get the first pick, basically?
Well, actually, now that you mention that, you had picked somebody else. And then you were guilted into picking somebody else after that because Meredith didn't want the same pick as you. And instead of because you made the first pick, you wanted Jordan Vino.
I did.
And there's nothing against us picking the same driver. I think me and Denver did that earlier in the season. So she picked Jordan Vino. So you decided, hey,
I'll be a nice guy.
Yeah, and you went with?
I went with Kenny Jr.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one to watch. Denver, I think your pick's kind of comfortable there, especially after the Glade International.
I'm feeling pretty good about it. Laurie Cormier is known for winning the big races. 4-time international winner, 3-time Mike Stevens winner, and after Saturday, the winner of the 5K race day.
Yeah, it's he's going to be tough to beat when he's on his game. Brittany has Michael Cormier. Now, do we tell the people how many picks that she went through today?
3.
It was at least 3 because first she said the 42 car. And there's 2 42 cars. By the way, it's great to see Chris Reed and Linda McDougall on the entry list. We don't have a graphic for the entry list. You can go check out timscorner.ca. But she's first said the 42 car. Then she said, well, I was going to pick Jordan Vino. And then she had Alexander Oblinas. And then she said, you know what? Give me Michael Cormier for whatever reason. So she technically picked 4 if we're keeping score here. And the last 2 weeks, she had picked somebody, decided that she was going to go with somebody else, and then they went back to that pick. So technically, we're all wrong. Chris Reed's going to win on Saturday by that logic. But Michael Cormier is her pick. We will have the fantasy picks up likely tomorrow at timscorner.ca/fantasy picks. I got to make a run to Auto World tomorrow. Special thanks to Dylan Blankhorn and the crew over there for helping us out. We are waiting on Chris Wilson. So we'll bring back the top. We'll bring back the 3 of us.
I can say that I'm working through the tech issues with Chris at the moment.
Now, I was under the understanding that he used Zoom before because the Atlantic Modified Tour uses Zoom.
Yeah, he says it's doing something it's never done before. So we're trying.
Is it
something.
updating? Because we all went through that earlier tonight.
It's telling him it's not supported. So I don't know. It might be something like that. We love technology.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fun.
Yep. I actually did see that from 3 minutes ago. So Denver, you worked through that.
We're gonna try.
We're gonna try. I just got a message from Wayne Smith. There's another announcement coming tomorrow, and I know we kind of teased about it in the background. There is another announcement coming tomorrow in regards to the street stock deal. Can't say anything else other than that. And now that Mike's gone, we don't have him here anymore. But there's watchtimscorner.ca. I don't know where I'm going to find the hours in the day to do this, but we'll figure it out at some point. Mentioned earlier, Hazard is coming to play Speedway 660 on Speed Weekend. That's going to be fun on Friday night. Dylan, I don't know what your plan is for Speed Weekend, but we race Friday night in Halifax.
That's right.
So that's something we have to work through. But Denver, I know I was talking to Meredith earlier. You guys are always up there, and I know you're excited for Hazard. I've never seen Hazard before. I got the invite to Justin Cole's postseason party this year. So if I don't get to see them on Speed Weekend, I get to go out to Harvey and see them. But how excited are you to have Hazard play that show?
I'm so pumped. That has always been one of the highlights of the whole weekend is the Friday night show. And I also had the invite to Justin Cole's little party last year, and I missed out on it. But I think it's going to be cool this year with the racing and the music afterwards. That's new. That's unique to Speed Weekend, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's coming back to where it was prior to COVID now. I know with Cole's party, I mentioned I needed a place to drink and lay my head because that's usually how that works. It's not great to drink and drive. So we'll see how that works. I don't even know what my plan is this weekend. Dylan, I know you're on standby for Lake Dowsett. Weather doesn't look great. It is Wednesday. It doesn't look great. We will see what happens with that deal going forward. But Denver, I always know there's a party on the Miramichi after we get down to rest, right?
I think there's more than one party, to say the least.
Well, we're still working through that. And again, my phone's been going off the last 2 hours, and we'll go off of that. But let's roll the B-roll, Paul, because I believe we have our next guest lined up in the waiting room, driver of the 2W for the Atlantic Modified Tour. We'll see if we can do this and take this off of here. Robbie McLean is going to be some disappointed. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. We are going to get Chris to rotate his camera around as soon as
we can see him now. We're making progress.
We can see him now. We can hear him now. Chris, rotate your phone or your device. There you go. Maybe something. We'll roll with that. How about that? Driver of the 2W. It's Denver. We love technology, don't we?
We love technology.
I don't.
All we know is he can drive a race car real well. We're showing highlights from Miramichi from the first win of the season. First of all, Chris, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking some time out to join us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me on.
So this modified deal has really taken off for you. 6 races in this total season. You've run 3 of them. In the total season, there's been 5 different winners. You're the only repeat winner on the Atlantic Modified Tour this year. How does that sound for a stat?
Definitely like the sound of that. Yeah, we're having a good year. Really, the last 3 seasons that I got started late, and the last 2 years I was able to win my first night out. This season we get second, I guess, first night out, and then backed it up with 2 wins. So we run good when we can make it, and I really like running this class. Love driving these cars. It seems to be a good fit for me.
And it seems like in the last couple of years, wherever that Atlantic Modified Tour goes, you are a threat. Obviously, the big win last year at Petty during the Mike Stevens weekend. You've won on Speed Weekend. You went last weekend and won that show. Miramichi, you're always great. Let's go backwards, I guess. Now we'll start with last weekend. For those that didn't see it on Tim's Corner TV or haven't taken a look at the archive, walk us through a win at Speedway 660 in the Chess Piece Cafe 35.
Well, we were good in the first practice. I think we were top on the board. We sat out the second one there. We were trying to get some tires straightened away. And the third one, the car wasn't quite as good. Made some more adjustments, and we went to the top of the board again for the last practice. So it was a little bit too tight, I guess, in the heat race, and I was able to finish second to Eve. And in the feature, we lined up, towards the back because we got a pretty sweet average, I guess. So I was on the outside of Travis there for a little bit for, I think, like fourth. And I tucked in behind him for a little bit, so I just didn't want to burn the tires off it that early in the race. And he was able to get around Zine and Eve to drive away for the lead. And I was caught up trying to get around them, and just kind of luck came my way. I guess I get into a little jingle. We had a restart, and I got up on the front row alongside of Travis, and she was pretty well on from there. A lot of side-by-side racing and a lot of hard racing, and I think I went to his outside quite a bit and finally was able to clear him with, 4 or 5 to go, and got enough of a gap that I was able to hang on to it and take home another win.
The first win of the season in Miramichi. The first race in Miramichi was wild as it was, but to come out with the victory in Miramichi at your home racetrack, how big was that one to take that checkered flag?
Big one to me. Might have been just another night for a lot of other guys maybe, but winning at home is always special, and I had to turn away from the microphone there for a little bit to keep from kind of losing it. But that place just means so much to me because I spent so many Saturday nights there over my life to just be able to finally be out there and run and finally seeing some success. Like I haven't really won, a lot, but every win is still big, and they definitely mean a lot. So we got some wins last year with the street stock, which was huge to finally kind of break through with that car, and to be able to do it again this year with the modified. Now I've won with both, so it really, really feels good.
And with this division being so close, you talked about, the side-by-side racing that we've had, and just, we've seen it at 660 more often than not, where it's kind of hard to get away from the rest of the competitors. I think we had 10 laps on Sunday, side by side. For those that don't really, watch the Atlantic Modified Tour as closely as they probably should, how good is the racing, and how competitive is it to try to bob and weave your way through the field?
It's tighter than it's ever been. Like, if you've been watching the heat races, have been really tight. You can pretty well throw a blanket over pretty well the whole field and in all the heat racing, and usually there's 5 or 6 cars that can win every night. Really, I mean, if you looked on paper, 3/4 of the field should be able to win every night because the field's so stacked. But years ago, it wasn't that way. We seen nights that the modifieds kind of had a reputation where it was maybe open house, and on one night we seen one guy just completely lap the whole field, and since we've got our engines all sealed up and in check with the program that Tony Leonard helped us get through and get on the go, you just don't see that stuff anymore. There's very seldom you see people go lap down unless they're really, really off. And I think it's better and it's closer than it's ever been in a very, very long time.
I want to ask you about the competition before we go to social. By the way, we are live and interactive. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment for Chris, and Dylan will get to it. But the competition, you mentioned racing with guys like Zine Dutcher and Kim Hallahan, and Doug Matchett and Joe Hoyt, and these guys have been around modifieds, been around racing in general for so long. How cool is it to have your name not only be associated with those talents, but also be listed as a winner against them?
Means everything, especially the names that you just listed, Zine. And I got so much history with Zine working on his car, for 10 years when he was in Sportsman. Kim Hallahan was racing when my dad took me to my first race at Danny Speed Bowl in Bathurst in 1982, and he was winning then. And geez, he should have won last fall when he was driving my car, and then Eves, I mean, man, you talk about a legend. I mean, he's between him and his uncle, I think they're like 1 and 2 for all-time feature wins of Speedway Miramichi, and yeah, their championships on top of that. The wins that they've racked up everywhere else. I mean, Eve stepped away for for a fairly long time. When he come back into the modifieds, man, it was just like he was never gone for not a day. So like you talk about feeling good, the first win I got with that modified down at Petty, you know, I outran Zine and Eves to do it. And they were right at my window to congratulate me at the end of the race. And man, it really meant the world to me.
We're live and interactive here this evening with Chris Wilson, driver of the 2W Atlantic Modified, getting ready for this weekend's 35-lap feature as a part of the Crash for Cash event at Speedway Miramichi. Dylan, I know social's kind of quiet, but I know you're chomping at the bit over there. What do you got for Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, for sure. Chris, great to have you on here. One question I got, what's it like having this character Denver help you out every couple weekends on the modified crew?
If you only knew the help that he's been to me over the years. He kind of came our way back when Steven and I were running the mini cup cars, and we couldn't really shake him, you know, and he spent a lot of nights here with me, helping me get rigged up and working on cars and getting to the racetrack, and a lot of times being, you know, my biggest cheerleader. So you know, he was with me for a lot of the wins that we had away from Speedway Miramichi, and I'm definitely glad to have him around. It's a hell of a help, and he loves the sport. He loves coming to the races, so he's, you know, bang on to have around. That's for damn sure.
Those
Denver?
mini, go ahead, Denver. Retort.
No, yeah.
I don't know if I go that high, but anyways, lucky to be around, I guess. That's all.
Man, I still got pictures of you on my phone laying the duct tape numbers to my street stock, and that probably one of my favorite pictures in my phone yet, because man, we worked on that. It was probably, I think, the very first night that we were going to lug it to Petty, and we were here till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning working on the damn thing. And I think that night I don't even know if you had your license yet. You still had the graduate license, and you had to bail out of it on me before midnight and go home in case you might turn into a pumpkin or something there, I guess. But anyways, no, you've been a hell of a help to me for sure over the years.
I think we've come a long way from the duct tape numbers, which I still say are pretty sweet. There's been a lot of people kind of steal that idea over the years.
Well, the duct tape numbers were one thing, but the modified in many colors,
That was good.
that was epic. Martin Landry called that car French.
That was the Mike Phillips car before, right? Because I think Mike had it.
What
It
was
had
that? It when I got it, it had orange doors on it, and it had yellow flames, and I think the numbers were green, and I think it had like half of a roof. It didn't have sail panels on it. It didn't come with a hood, and I got a hood and a roof and sail panels, I think, from Stacy Medor to get the thing back together, just so I could run it. Doug lent me an old engine that he had sitting around his garage for God knows how long, and it looks poor. It didn't even care. Just wanted to go racing. Just wanted to be on the track. And the first night we lugged the thing to Petty, it was a Mike Stevens weekend. Ended up getting the podium. I got third. Like you talk about, you know, not being over until it's over, man. That's perfect example right there, because just I basically showed up and walked into a third place finish that night. So, and Jesse Thompson, God love him, he came down to the flag stand after it was all over, and I can't remember what he said. He said that my car looked unique or interesting or something like that. And I said, well, man, I said, like, it looks pretty damn good to me with a trophy sitting on the roof, and it still looks better than sitting in somebody's backyard, you know, with grass going up around it. It's going to look better on the track than it does not being run. So that was a pretty fun night.
Once again, we're live and interactive. I know, Dylan, you were in the middle of another question before we went off on our little tangent. So what do you have?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we kind of ran away with it, but to kind of dial back, Chris, to the mini cup racing, when I got in this business, you know, a couple of years ago, there was that still going on, and I saw a video on YouTube from JDM showing off these mini cup racing. Not around anymore, but what were those cars like at Miramichi, which I've driven with the demo car, and I found that a bit bumpy.
It was a little rough in 1 and 2. I don't think they were quite as fast as the Bandol. They had more suspension adjustability, but they didn't have as much engine. But I mean, the goal was to get them set up so that you didn't have to lift in the corners. And they were the fastest when they're on the verge of coming around on you. So you really had to hustle them. The funnest I had in that car was over in PEI. The banking over there and the G-forces like in the corner would just throw you to the right side of the car. And man, you get down into 3, just pray to God the right rear is going to stay under you, and the car wasn't going to come around, because you had about one crack the wheel to snap it and catch it, or it was going around on you. And after you get used to driving them, you kind of learn to pretty well let them go rather than chase them, because you can easily overcorrect them and end up in the wall or something like that. But they were fun. I won a feature at Shediac. I won some heat races. I think I won a heat at Petty, one at Oysterbed, one at home. A lot of second places. Holy jumping. So I spent pretty well a whole year finishing second behind James Matchett, and then seemed like a whole year finishing second behind Amanda Wheatley, and then it was a whole year finishing second behind Matt Watson, and we did that 3 or 4 years, I think, and then I kind of got the nerve, I guess, to go up and buy some street stock rigging, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, I never had a shop or anything at the time, so I mean, we were working on both cars up at Stephen Curtis's shop. We were lugging the 2 of them together in a old $500 Skidoo trailer that I bought, and we were just traveling around everywhere having a blast. It was fun when we were doing that.
Jesse Thompson, announcer at Petty, just wrote, "Is there a story to Miramichi not having a fence in turn 1 and 2? Did it ever?"
It always had guardrail. It never had cement all the way around it for a lot of years. There was nothing, I don't think, on the backstretch for when it first opened up, but there was some guardrail, I think, around like in the middle of 3 and 4 and down the front stretch and around, because I mean, if you went off of 1, man, you'd end up with a ball field on the other side of the street of the McKinnon Road. So, but people have ended up there. There have been people jump that guardrail and get down and have to be fished out of the woods, like down by the street. Like it definitely has happened. And eventually, I think it might have been when the Tozers owned the track that they put the cement wall all the way around it. But I don't ever remember there not being anything in 1 and 2. When I started going there in 83, I think the guardrail was there.
That's all you got for now, Tim, on social media.
Yeah, we've got Chris for a few more minutes, so if you got a question or a comment, be sure to drop it below. You kind of mentioned the street stock. We kind of neglected it so far. We've been talking mods and mini cups and everything else, but you got that street stock sitting there. We'll go backwards a little bit. You won a championship here a couple of years ago at your home racetrack. How cool was that to get that championship and, finish it off at the season with the very best fall shootout, which is one of the biggest street stock races that we have in Atlantic Canada?
Oh, it was neat. I mean, the momentum really started coming in the 2018 season. Towards the end of it was when it started to have a little bit better finishes. And when I come back in 2019, I think I finished second, like every points race that we ran. And I think I got a top 10 in that 100 lapper at the end of the year. And it was enough that I was able to win the championship. But it was a big deal for me because, again, like I said, been going there since the place reopened in 83. And I was there for so many weekends. And at the end of the night, I'd be standing down at the fence watching the guys that won and just thinking someday, man, that's going to be me. So we were able to make that happen, and it felt pretty good.
the 100 lapper at the end of the season has really grown into an event of its own. How neat is that to have that right in your backyard and be a part of that deal every single year?
Oh, it's great. John O'Shea, the first year, man, really made that happen. He stepped up and got a lot of sponsorship, got the cars attracted to coming, got the ball rolling on getting the first straightened away, and it's grown into a really good event. And I hope they're able to continue it and keep building. You know, the car counts up here for street stock haven't been fantastic this year, but a lot of people that come and run it say they always want to come back. So that means a lot. And, you know, there's getting to be more and more big races around the Maritimes for street stocks. And that's good to see too. You know, you look what's going on down at Petty this weekend. You know, there's a lot of money to be won down there. So it's good to see for sure.
Now, obviously the modified program is running really, really well, but when do we see the street stock back on the racetrack?
Well, I definitely got to get at it. It don't need much. I got to change some pulleys and I got to put some hood hinges on. I got to do a little bit of work to get back to what some rule changes, I guess, over the off season have happened to that class. But I was planning on trying to get it ready for the Ricky Bobby race. Was kind of waiting to see how the modified season was going to go before I decided where else I was going to run it. Last year, man, jumping back and forth between the two cars and like having some success in both cars, like that was probably the funnest summer I ever had. Like there was no pressure to run for points anywhere. So didn't have to be anywhere. The only thing we were really committed to was being at Speedway Miramichi for the events that they were going to run, which made it nice. And whatever car was ready to go was, you know, the one that went on the trailer when we decided to go. And, you know, I had a blast, you know, had really good runs with each car, like all through the summer. So we got 3 wins at Miramichi with street stock. And we got the win at Petty with the modified, the win at 660. We got 5th place at the Ricky Bobby 150, which really exceeded every expectation that I had going into that event. And we got a 5th place again at Miramichi in the 100 lapper here. So it was a great season last year with both cars. A lot of fun, no pressure, just go, and whatever car is ready to go, put her on the trailer and go.
Okay, Denver, let's tell some stories to Chris. Ball's yours.
Okay, well, I kind of want to start by, I guess, throwing Chris under the bus. So we saw in Miramichi last race, lots of modified drivers, Joe Hoyt, Travis Conroy, Doug Matchett, all jumping in the Punisher and going out for the demo events and having some fun. So what's it going to take for Chris Wilson to get, you know, hop into the Punisher with Doug Matchett and go tackle some of the demo drivers?
That I probably would do. Getting in and riding around with Doug would be pretty good laugh for sure. Not so sure as I would rig up a demo car and, you know, partake in the event myself, but riding shotgun with Doug would definitely be a good laugh for sure. Like after all our stuff is done for the night and everything's loaded up and put away, like I'd probably be down for that. Yeah.
Can I make one suggestion on that though? If you're gonna ride with him in the Punisher, ride with him in the Enforcer, whatever you have, can you make sure you just slick your hat backwards like Joe Hoyt did when he got out of the car? Because Denver, you were, I think, in the flag stand, you couldn't see it, but Brandon Campbell was on the turn 3 camera and he looks, he's like, is that Joe? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it is. So Joe, I think, at least set the bar on that, Chris. So if you do that, there's a bar that has to be met.
And I hear
Well, yeah, I guess so. Like, I don't know. You never know. I guess I turn my hat around backwards and put on a pair of ridiculous looking white sunglasses or something there. Look, but I'd be down for that, I guess. Who's going to know me? You know, nobody knows me as it is. So but I could probably get away with that, no trouble.
What happens in Miramichi stays in Miramichi, right?
Oh, pretty likely, yeah.
Go ahead, Dimmer.
So let's talk about Doug a little more for a second, because you had all that success last year, but a lot of it, the modified, would not have happened without Doug. And you know, he went on. He himself is a champion, a fierce competitor. He's the Hometown Hero Award winner for TCM. Talk a little bit about Doug and everything he's done over the years. You know, he gave you the motor when you first got the modified, and then again last year, and he's been over at the Ricky Bobby races, gassing up the car and everything in between.
Well, Doug's a big guy with an even bigger heart. And like you said, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had an engine the first time around, and I definitely wouldn't have had an engine last year. And when we were up at Stevens sealing engines with Tony Leonard, Doug was there and we're working on his, and I just didn't have one to put together. I mean, the one after we decided how we were going to handle our engine rules going into the 2020 season, I took the engine apart, and I had always been having some trouble with oil leaks and filings on my drain plug on my oil pan, and I never knew why. Well, I found out when I took it apart, and I had both my heads were cracked. My pistons were starting to crush ringlands and come all apart, and my crankshaft was ruined, scored. Crankshaft bearings were taped. Block was pieced to the back end of it where the crankshaft runs. Like, I had to literally take the whole thing away. I think it's push rod. I think that's the only thing my new engine. It's kind of joke, or so I thought, anyways. And he said, "Man, like, you got a car, I got a motor, I can't drive. Let's put it all together and go racing." That's, well, yeah. I don't. My luck, there's something friggin' break on it, and then I got to build two motors and not one. And he kept saying it. And after a while, I, well, maybe we could. And he wanted to see cars on the track, you know. And so I said, well, the very best. I said, I'm not going to run the guts out of it by any means, but we'll put it together and we'll run it when we can. And it was late. I mean, it was speed weekend by the time we got together, got it on the racetrack, and man, like, first night, unloaded at Fredericton, fast car, and we win the feature. Well, man, who was the first lad I got to thank but Doug? And like, that's one thing that I love about this series is you see so many people help one another when they're having trouble. Like, Joe, you're in trouble this weekend, and pretty near somebody from every team was at his car trying to get it back together. Joe's usually the first lad to run to everybody else's car when they're having trouble. Like, that's one great thing about the series. And he definitely deserves it, you know, for the effort that he puts into Speedway Miramichi and the way he just helps everybody. He definitely was more than deserving of that award for sure. Good lad. And I mean, I helped him. He broke his car up pretty bad at Petty. I gave him a hand getting it back together, and we had to pretty well rebuild the whole back end of it. And he had some transmission trouble this past weekend, so he's got the 3-speed that was in my car last year is going into his. I mean, that's just how we try to do it with this modified tour. Like, we try to keep everybody going, and it's a really good place to run.
Speed Weekend 2019 is a race that sticks out in my mind. You had some tough issues in practice with an axle, and you changed the axle and it turned out to be bent, but you still took that car and put it on the podium that day. Take us back through that race.
Yeah, broken axle in practice. And again, like I said, people come to help you out. Joe Hoyt took a rotor off his car because the motor had went in it in practice. Doug gave me an axle. I think Graham Brown took off to his to rob brake caliper brackets off of something that he had sitting on the front lawn. And he pitched in to rig again. We put it all there and put it in drive. Well, it's on jack stands, and man, the wheel is just wobbling, just crazy. I'm like, holy jeez, like, I don't know if I can run that, but I'll go out, I'll start, and I'll get some toll money out of it, and at least kind of cover my gas maybe. And I went out in the pace laps of the heat race, and yeah, I could feel the car hopping a little bit, but once I got up to speed, it didn't really feel all that bad. So the heat race was really tight. I think I was just kind of worried about making sure things were going to hold together. I think I got fourth. Again, started, right dead last. I mean, it was my first race of the year, so I started back, and man, we had a friggin' rocket, and we just picked our way up through it. And I remember, I think it was lap 17 or so, we ran down for the lead, and underneath coming off the floor, and had a really nice gap up there. We had a couple late cautions, and it's like everybody.
Well, I think we lost Chris.
I totally get it. I mean, that was a great story he had.
We were kind of right there at the end. I know we're getting close to the end of the show. So hold on, Dylan, I'm going to bring your face up here. So me and Denver aren't like split in the middle.
Okay.
We will catch up with Chris. I know the South Esk area going out that way, probably out in the shop's not the greatest for service, Denver.
Yeah, we love technology, especially when it works.
Yes. So we will catch up with Chris on the weekend. Actually, is he? Oh, here we go. He might be back here. We might have split the 4 box. Chris, are you with us? Maybe. Put the wires together. The technology sometimes works.
Got to work on the street stock. Got to work on the Zoom.
Yeah. Anyways, Chris, you got us?
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted. Wonderful. Okay. We love technology when it works. So anyways, I want to do this. Paul, plop the partners up on our screen before we go. Want to thank all of our partners that have put on this show. Paul's getting ready for Loose Lugs. Is that what we're calling it?
Yes, the Loose Lugs Racing Series, rebranded from the Fatheads Cup Series just last season. Young Trevor Apsher came home with the win and the championship about 2 months ago, and they're getting ready to kick off 200 miles at Daytona here tonight, 9 o'clock on Verdane TV.
Yeah, so go follow that at Verdane TV. Want to thank all of our partners that help put on Tim's Corner Live and what we do at Tim's Corner TV. Paul's getting the jet to Daytona, so want to thank everybody for that's on the screen that's helped us put on this show. And boys, busy weekend. Friday night, Scotia Speed World. Saturday, Speedway Miramichi. Sunday, Denver, I don't know. I'm either going to be hungover or I'm going to be at Lake Dowsett. I don't know which one it's going to be. We still have to figure that one out.
Gotta watch the weather.
Yes.
One part of outdoor events is watching the weather. But
yeah, it's going to be a fun show nonetheless. Join us Saturday, Speedway Miramichi. Join us and take a peek at what we're going to see at Jennerstown as well. Coming up, you'll be able to see that on the Tim's Corner Facebook page as well as pitrow.tv. Cheer on Cole Butcher in the 53 car. Dylan, what are you doing this weekend?
Well, I'll help out at Scotia Speed World once I'm done the radio job on Friday. Saturday, I think I'm just going to kind of hang around. The girlfriend likes some racing, but she likes it when I'm not at a racetrack sometimes. And then I guess I'm going to be kind of on call to see if I'm going to be going down to Lake Dowsett Motor Speedway. Maybe I should just come with you anyways. I've never been there. We could check off 2 tracks I've never been to within 2 weeks of each other.
It is a great racetrack to go to. And I know that Monday afternoons, Rudders has specials on fish bites. So if I go Sunday, I am staying overnight. Throw it out there that way. You don't go anywhere without me finding a good place to eat. I think we already established that, though. Want to thank everybody that's helped us on this show. Chris Wilson, thanks for joining us, along with Cole Butcher and Mike Weagle. We'll see what happens. We'll join you again next Wednesday for Tim's Corner Live. Join Paul Strickland with Verdane TV for Loose Lugs coming up here in a few minutes' time. Thanks to all our partners. Until Friday night, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.